Boovy, thank you very much for coming on, mate. Episode 1 of Life After Pro Sport. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Enjoying my life after pro sport, so doing really well, thank you, mate.
Good stuff. Right, mate, I'm going to give you, let's go 60 seconds. So I'm not giving you much time. Can you summarize who you are, your background in pro sport, and I guess briefly what you're doing right now?
Yeah, nice. Okay, let's go. So, yeah, my name's Ciaran Booth. I grew up in Manchester, came through the Sales Sharks Academy, signed for 2 years there out of school. Um, did 2 years full time there. At the end of my first year, went to the Under-20s World Cup with Ireland, blew my knee apart, ruptured my ACL, MCL, PCL. Moved over to Ireland to play for Connacht in the West Coast. Had like 3 amazing years there, like really grew as a rugby player and as a person. And then after that 3 years, kind of things didn't work out as they do sometimes, and then moved to Jersey where I met you, Charlie. Jersey just won the champ. You know, things were looking great, being sold the dream, and really enjoyed kind of my first couple of months there. And then we woke up one day and we had no jobs and we went bankrupt. So left there like we all did, and spent a few months kind of sort of soul searching and looking for something to do, and was playing just in the championship at the time. And then I got back in with South Sharks, so kind of got lucky there, and did another season there just to sort of injury recover, and pretty full circle moment. And then after that, when I couldn't get a contract there, I moved to Australia, a bit like yourself. So did a season out in Australia playing for Eastern Suburbs. Great year, like bit of a kind of went for the lifestyle change, not really for the rugby. Was hoping to find a few things maybe in America, but such as life didn't work out. But had like the best year ever there, and then I've now decided to move back after my year in Oz, to sort of go travelling for a year, and we're taking on this like big challenge, me and my girlfriend, of cycling around the world this year. That's been the last 7 years in about 2 minutes.
Everything you've achieved to date, mate, it's inspiring. Like whatever kind of has been thrown at you, I feel like you've really taken it in your stride and seen the good in it, and yeah, stayed true to yourself. You show that in your content, mate. I'm a big fan of what you do with that.
Thank you.
Loads of achievements you've kind of already listed there, but looking back on it all, what would you say you're most proud of?
I think I'm probably proudest of the way that I approach things now. When you go through a few things that you're like, geez, that was pretty tough at the time, you kind of start to build this like bit of armor around you, and the things that you learn along the way, like no one can ever take them away from you. Like, yes, I'm very proud of my first game for Connacht and my first game for Sale, and playing for the under-20s and stuff, but I think just having the mindset now of you can take anything on, and like you will be okay, and there's always a way forward. That is probably number one, and number two is definitely the people I've met. Like, I've always prided myself on never burning any bridges, always trying to go out my way to, like, go above and beyond for other people, because I've always cared so much about the people that I've played with and trained with. Those friendships are probably one of the things I'm most proud of, I'd say. Yeah.
You've made the decision right now where I'm not sure whether it's going to be forever, but right now your focus is shifted on to cycling the world, which we'll touch on. Is an extremely exciting adventure. But I guess, did you make that decision to kind of hang out the boots? Like, tell me your thought process behind not continuing to chase rugby and kind of going on to this next adventure.
It's tough because I said this to someone the other day, and I've never quit on anything ever really in my life, and I always said I would go after rugby, professional rugby, as long as I could. And in my mind, I did that. It got to the point where it was either like being realistic, like, am I ever going to play professional rugby again? And once the odds got to like pretty high, I realised that yes, I was really enjoying playing semi-professionally, but I needed the challenge and the drive of something else, which was taking on this big journey around the world cycling. It was weird because it wasn't just like I got sacked and that was it, I'm done now. And which I know, like, some boys, especially like younger boys now, will do that, and they won't try and chase the dream. And for me, it was the best job in the world, so I don't know why you wouldn't chase it as long as you could. Kind of, Jersey was probably the beginning of the end, which is sad to say, but it probably was. Obviously, that happened at the start of the season, so no one needed anyone. Then I got back in as injury cover at Sale, but I was probably realistically only ever that injury cover. Even though I spent a season there, you've got 5 international back rows. And it's like, am I ever really, even if I get a contract, am I ever actually going to get any game time? Which was really tough because I felt like I was really competing in training. I felt like I was one of the boys again. Like I would always put my hat in the ring and feel like I could compete with those lads. But I just obviously never got the shot. And those boys are incredible players. And then moving to Oz, I had in my mind, I know you thought about it too, sort of moving to America and playing in the MLR and for a bit of a lifestyle change, but it's still professional rugby. You're still moving over there for the rugby. So I had a couple of phone calls over there. One was looking pretty promising, and then they went bankrupt again. And then a few little sniffs here and there. I nearly moved to Dragons in Wales, like to play in the URC. That fell through on the day when my car was packed and ready to go. So there was like this accumulation of things that I was like, not how many more hits can you take, but like it was more of I've tried everything here and it's not happened. So at some point you kind of have to call it.
It's just so fickle, isn't it, mate, pro sport? Because not to make you think negatively about it, but you know, who's to say when your car's packed and you're off to go to Dragons, who's to say that you couldn't, if that went ahead, you go there, you end up playing loads in the URC and then kick on from there, or any of those opportunities at Sale if there was a couple more injuries when you're on cover, like, and it's so hard to get your head around, isn't it? Because you know deep down you're good enough. You see
Yeah.
your same as me, mate. You've got loads of mates who are still playing, and you know you were on par with them growing up when you were playing your Ireland 20s stuff with them, and you just have that voice in your head which thinks that could be me. And
Yeah.
how have you come to terms with kind of silencing that voice and thinking, no, I'm gonna, you know, pursue
I
something
think
else?
I think for me it's not silencing that voice because I don't know if that's just me being a sportsman and your mindset that you've grown up with, but I still genuinely do believe that could be me because I'm not old yet. I'm getting old, but because I'm not old, I genuinely do still think that could be me. And if I was still in an environment now, I'd really like to think that I could still compete and play. And I see my best friends doing these things on TV, and I'm like, I can do that. So it's not about silencing that voice. It's probably just knowing that you'll be okay doing something else because you've got so many transferable skills. And yeah, it sucks that you don't get to do those things because it probably is the best job in the world. But I spoke to someone recently and they were like, if you can top other areas of your life up, if life satisfaction with professional rugby is 9 out of 10, which it's not always, but if it, let's say it's 9 out of 10 and your current job is 6 out of 10, still pretty good, whatever, or 7 out of 10. If you can top up your family life and you can top up your hobbies and you get to go on more holidays and you get to go and explore stuff, you'll get back closer to it. So it's probably not silencing that voice of that could be me. It's knowing that like I'm on another path. And I think a big thing is like I went back to Connacht randomly to do some videography work because like
Saw that.
that's my job now. So like I went back to Connacht to film like a short film about like mental health and rugby and stuff like that. And I was sat on the pitch side filming the game, and I was like in training in the gym with the lads. Yes, I did really miss it, but the biggest thing I took away from it was like just being really grateful that I ever got to be a part of that. And I couldn't get the phrase out of my head for like a week, like the grass is always greener. Like I was like, I would do anything to be back in here with my mates, working towards a common goal every single week. And all of the boys are coming up to me like, oh, geez, man, like, you got to go to Australia and God, you're going off
Yeah.
traveling around the world and all this stuff. Like, oh, fuck, I'd do anything to do that. Like, and it's
Yeah.
like, you know, some of them boys are like, it's not that you're not appreciative of it, but it's like the grass is always greener. Like, you know that you're okay after sport. If you find stuff to put your passion and your energy into, there is life after rugby.
100%, mate. I've had literally the same conversations with people. I've got mates who have over 100 Premiership appearances coming up to me, like jealous of our adventures out to the Shoot Shield in Sydney, and obviously we look at it from the other side. Like, oh my god, like what I would do to be full-time rugby, kind of playing in the Premiership again. And I think it's definitely something we're all guilty of, is looking at everyone else's life and thinking, or just seeing the highlights of it and thinking, oh, I wish that was me. But yeah, that, I guess that's the negative side of social media, where there's just so much comparison, and you know, you're all comparing potentially your worst bits with someone else's best bits. So that's where it can become a bit toxic. But talking of social media, mate, I am a big fan of Ciaran Does Things and everything you're doing on there. Do you want to touch on I feel like you're kind of, in a lot of your videos, you're answering the question of like who you are now. You've left rugby is kind of something that resonates to me across all your videos. Have you kind of struggled with finding who you are now, or do you feel like you're finding your feet with that now? You're kind of in the videography world, the cycling world. Um,
I don't know. I think it's just, I think when you learn so many transferable skills in something like team sport, if you can develop this ability to like reinvent yourself in any way, you come out of a world where you've not really had a real job for the last 6 or 7 years. Like you're living in this bubble with all these rugby players, and then you're like, I can actually do whatever I want now. Like the last thing I want to do is ever go and work in an office. So
yeah.
like when I moved over to Oz, I was walking past a gym and like I've got my coaching qualifications and I've coached at schools before, but I've never worked in a gym. And I was like, oh, I'd like to work in there. That'd be cool. So you like fire them a message and then suddenly I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, and I'm an SSC for all these people in Bondi. And I think it's just that ability to reinvent yourself probably teaches you that you can sort of be whoever you want to be.
Because you've been an S&C, you've been videographer. They're the two main ones, aren't they, since kind of leaving
Yeah,
pro.
I did a lot of rugby coaching. Like I was a rugby coach at a private school over here for a year before I left, pretty much. I guess like with the video stuff, that kind of just all happened randomly because I was coaching as an S&C in Sydney, um, and they needed a bit of like media help at the gym I was at, and I was kind of doing a bit on my own Instagram just for a bit of fun. They had an event on, and I was like, "Oh, like I can do it," and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." I was like, "No, no, I'm actually like okay," and then suddenly that was my main job. Do you know what I mean? Because I was working there, I was picking up clients at the gym, and that kind of taught me that you can literally just not fake it till you make it, but if you back yourself enough to try something new and do the hard work to like learn how to do it. Like I was working on like I did a few shoots for like Levi jeans and like Pilates studios where I'm like looking around going, what the hell am I doing here? Like I'm so out of my depth. But then if you just back yourself, like
Yeah.
it's that reinvention stage. And sorry, to answer your question, like I think when I left Jersey, because I had for the first time in my life 4 or 5 months where I wasn't playing rugby or wasn't like rugby wasn't the main focus of my life since I was about 14, I started saying yes to a lot more things that I've never done before. Like I was learning to rock climb, I was learning to go spearfishing, I was learning to go like hunting deers, I learned how to butcher, all these random things. I was learning how to film that if you just like, you allow yourself the possibility that you're not going to be very good at something new as an adult. Like as adults, we never try new things. When was the last time you like went to do something that you've never ever done before? It's like it's really out of your depth because we're all scared of failure. But if you allow yourself that, then I guess you realize that you can reinvent yourself.
It's leaving your comfort zone, isn't it? I feel like everyone builds their routine, stays within their comfort zone, and you kind of know what you know in your comfort zone, don't you? But as soon as you leave that, so many doors can open. I think you're like a prime example of someone who's pretty good at leaving your comfort zone.
I just get itchy feet, and I think because I've been forced out of it so many times, like
Mm.
through losing contracts, through getting injured, through moving country and stuff, now it's kind of like all I know. And if I'm in the same place for too long, I sort of get itchy feet and I feel like I'm not progressing, which isn't true. And there is a lot to be said for, as we just spoke about before, like routine and actually having, somewhere to build a life from. But I feel like in these few years after rugby, I have that constant need for progression. And it's a big thing I'm an advocate for is just doing hard things for the sake of them, for the sake of doing them. Like putting yourself in uncomfortable situations whilst realistically you are comfortable in your life. Like for example, doing a workout. Do you know what I mean? Like you, at any point you could go home and go to bed and get some food out of the fridge. Whereas like, if you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations whilst you're actually comfortable, when something actually uncomfortable comes along, then hopefully you're going to have the tools to deal with it. And I think that's where that kind of comfort outside of the comfort zone comes from, probably. Yeah.
Uncomfortable times make the comfy times comfier, is
That's the
my
one, yeah.
silly
I
way
always
of.
I always get lost with it, but you said it much better than me.
Not saying the world has a problem, but I think everyone is probably too comfortable sometimes, and people don't put themselves through discomfort. And you can't blame people. And I'm not saying I'm perfect with this at all, because why would you want to put yourself through some discomfort? But
Yeah.
on the other side of discomfort, I do believe is some really good things, like any adversity you can get through, whether that's you created that adversity for yourself or whether it's been given to you, like Jersey Reds going under or whatever, ultimately you're going to come out the other side as a stronger version of yourself.
I was listening to, I think it was a podcast from like some of the Special Forces boys, and they were talking about obviously post traumatic stress is a very real thing, but like so is post traumatic growth. Like you go through these things, whether it's trauma or hardship that's been put onto you or hardship that you create yourself. Like post traumatic growth is a very real thing, and it's hard because like you come back from being away or being at another rugby club and you see friends that you've grown up with and they're going to the same pub every Friday night and they're working the same jobs. And like you say, you cannot blame those people at all because like some people, that's all they want, stability and strength. And that's fine. But I just knew that that wasn't something I could deal with just yet. Like I need to, before I settle down, if that ever happens, I feel like I've got shit to do, you know?
And speaking of shit to do and uncomfortable times, let's just quickly touch on the small matter of you and your partner Lucy cycling the world. So tell me, so where's this idea come from? Why cycling the world?
I read a book about it about 10 years ago, actually, about a guy called Alistair Humphreys who cycled around the world. And it's such a vivid moment. I remember closing the book and going, I'm going to do that one day. And I'd already signed a contract for sale at this point. I was like 16. And I was like, right, the first thing I'm going to do when I finish playing rugby is go cycling around the world. Because obviously you can't do that during a pre-season or anything like that. So I put it off and put it in the back of my mind, always kind of still spoke about it, read a load more books from other people that had done it. And then when things were slowly transitioning out of professional rugby, when I was in Australia, I thought, I can actually do this now. Like, if I want to do this, I could do this next year, or I could stay in this really comfortable bubble of living in Bondi Beach, like working in the gym 5 days a week, like barbecues every night, like loving life, or I could leave everything behind after I've just built this mega life for myself to do something really silly and go cycle around the world. And that was probably the hardest choice, to be honest, because if we weren't cycling around the world, I'd still be at like living in Bondi now.
Yeah.
With just, I just established myself as a videographer. You know, I was like looking at promotions in the gym and all this sort of stuff. I had to flick that switch then because I knew otherwise I'd never do it, and that's what I'd live to regret. So yeah, me and Lucy are in 5 weeks going cycling 18,000 miles around the world. We'll be living in a tent for 18 months. Yeah, so
It's really powerful to hear you've made the decision despite having such good life in Bondi. Although it's amazing, you can almost fall hostage to it, can't you? Because like you get so comfortable and you don't go and chase these dreams which you've had since you've been 16. So good on you, mate, for making the decision to pack your
yeah.
bag and chase your dreams, mate. Boovy, talk to me a little bit more the actual logistics of it. Like I'm thinking off the top of my head, fueling, like tell me a little bit about that and also what sort of how you're going to break down the world into day by day. Like how does that look?
Yeah, I spoke to Mark Beaumont, who actually has the world record for cycling around the world in 79 days, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he said, when cycling around the world, at no point do you feel like you're cycling around the world. You just, oh, I get up here today and I cycle to there, and then I do the same thing tomorrow. It actually becomes like a very, well, I can imagine it becomes a very just rhythmic sort of sequence of get up, eat, cycle, recover, put your tent up, go to bed, repeat. And to be honest with you, the logistics of it beforehand have actually probably been the hardest bit. Getting kit, getting sponsors, insurance, vaccines, visas, route planning, weather, all that sort of stuff has probably been the hardest bit. I must have sent thousands of emails in the last year. So I'm hoping that when we actually start, that will be the easy part. From our point of view, like I never wanted it to be this big corporate media circus, but because I love making films and love making content, it would be silly not to capitalize on a journey like this and try and make something really beautiful. So that has been a lot of reaching out to sponsors and stuff. And in the last sort of month or so, it's come really good with a bike sponsor and a kit sponsor and all that sort of stuff. So now that that's sorted, like the route is now, Lucy's been really good at the route planning side of stuff. So what, in really short, we'll cycle down to the Channel, go through all of mainland Europe, cross the Alps. We're going to a wedding in Cyprus. So we're cycling to the wedding. Yeah. And then we'll yeah, I know, mad. And then we'll
You're gonna have to
cycle
bring a
to,
suit with you or
that's
no?
the first question that everyone asks. No, definitely getting someone to bring that.
Okay.
stuff it in the bag. But then we'll cycle up to Istanbul, and then we were going to go through Iran, but obviously we can't really do that anymore. So we're flying to India. We'll pack the bikes up, fly them to India and Nepal, spend Christmas in Nepal, and then we'll fly from the other side of India to China, all of Southeast Asia down to Bali, fly to Perth, cycle from Perth to Sydney, fly to Dunedin, cycle all the way up to the North Island, fly to Vancouver, and cycle across Canada and America, and then get back to Portugal and then cycle home. So sounds very
Oh,
easy when you say it like
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's like just casually like, oh, we'll cycle from across
Perth to
Europe.
Sydney.
Actually
Yeah.
said like that, but obviously takes a while. And mate, so all of this, I saw a video recently. So this is all obviously it's a life goal that you've wanted to do, but there's a amazing cause behind it all and a reason you're looking to raise money. I saw a video of your mum who's been diagnosed with Parkinson's. You're raising money for a charity to do with that, are you?
Yeah. So again, like this has always been an adventure that we wanted to take on, but it would be ridiculous not to try and raise some money for a really good cause at the same time. And we would only do that if it was something that meant a lot to us. We wouldn't just do it for the sake of it. And yeah, so 11 years ago, mum got diagnosed with Parkinson's. Um, After like my granddad had passed away like a year before from Parkinson's, pretty much. So he sort of battled with it for just shy of 10 years, and then a year after mum had lost her dad, she got diagnosed with it really, really young. She was like still in her 40s, and she didn't tell us for a long time. But the kind of the way that mum's grown, and it's one of them things she would never ever wish it on anyone, obviously. But some of the people that she's met and the lives that she's now impacted and people have impacted her lives, she never would have met them people without Parkinson's, and like the community around that is the big things. She got big into like sport through like a big thing for Parkinson's is like a lack of dopamine in the brain, basically. One of the things that like you'll know is great for that is exercise. Like you feel good after you train, you feel good after you play rugby. That's why we do it. So combating like the mental, physical symptoms of Parkinson's is sport and exercise and activity is great for that. So it's like Sport Parkinson's, which is like an organisation, a branch of the Parkinson's community, is who we're raising money for. So I raise 50 grand for them hopefully, and we'll do our best. Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's an amazing cause, and I'll make sure to put a link to that in the description below, or
Thank you, man.
I'll tag it somewhere within this video. So hopefully people, if they want to, they can send a donation.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll use myself. I'll throw shade at myself. I grow a mustache every November for Movember, which is a great cause in itself. However, I always feel a bit guilty asking for money when I'm just growing a mustache. But I think you cycling the world, that if nothing else warrants a fiver or a
Thank you.
tenner off someone surely. So I'll make sure I
Thank
donate
you.
myself, mate. That's very cool.
Right.
We will finish up. I've got some quick fire questions. So a lot of these topics you could probably elaborate on, but I'm going to try and encourage you to quick fire answer them.
I'll do my best.
Biggest misconception about pro rugby?
That everyone is really, really professional. Most people are, but some people aren't.
Favorite teammate you've played with?
Ciaran Prendergast.
Favorite away trip?
Anywhere in France.
The best coach you've played for?
Cully Tucker, Irish coach.
Rugby's obviously taught you a lot of lessons, but what's the one key one that you think rugby's taught you that you carry into your life now?
That doing hard things is good for you.
One thing you definitely don't miss?
I don't know, man. There isn't much.
I was going to say, I say breakdowns, but you probably quite like breakdowns as a backer.
Yeah, I love breakdowns. Pass.
Past that, that's fine. Think an obvious one, but what you're most excited for next?
Cycling around the world.
Yeah. Actually, let's go slightly deeper on that. What's the country you're most excited for cycling for?
New Zealand, I think. New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or
you'll love it,
Nepal.
mate. Food you're most excited to try?
I've never really been to Southeast Asia, so like I'm talking like £2 meals in Vietnam. Like just get about 5 of them, try everything. So
What's the first thing that's going in your bag? Or what's the must pack item?
camera, obviously, but that you wouldn't expect. I have this little foldable trowel that you can dig a hole if you need a shit, basically. So
Okay, that sounds very useful. Who's going to be carrying more gear, you or Lucy?
me, without a shadow of a doubt.
Who's the best navigator? Who do you think is going to be leading?
Me, Lucy has I've let Lucy do all the route planning, but she has a terrible sense of direction. So I'll follow her route but I'll be doing the navigating.
Nice. And mate, a little bit of self-promotion to finish. If people want to follow you on yours and Lucy's journey, I'm thinking Instagram, is it gonna be YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube will be like the longer form stuff. That is Ciaran does things with 2 S's, and Instagram is Ciaran does things _.
Amazing. So anyone listening, make sure to drop both those accounts to follow. Some extremely exciting times ahead, and I'm sure some extremely good content coming our way. So I'm very excited to follow along, mate.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Boovie, thank you so much for coming on, mate. That is episode 1 of Life After Pro Sport. Thank you, mate.